Yeah. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining this global Microsoft 365 Developer Bootcamp Pune. This is organized by Pune Tech Community, and I would like to thank all the organizers for putting their efforts and making this a successful event in Pune. And I know that there are a lot of efforts we need to put to make such kind of events and helping the community to share our thoughts and learn something new from there. So thanks to everyone for joining and investing your time on this week of day. So I'm very happy to see the continuous support from the community. As you know that we are also organizing such webinars from last couple of 2-3 months, and that encourage us to organize such events which can help to grow and build a strong community in India. Not in India, but overall. But for now, we are targeting for the Pune, so that is for that. So today in this session, I'm going to discuss few things about how you can create the task-oriented interactions in Microsoft Teams with messaging extensions. And you know that this is specifically targeting to the developer community. So the takeaway from this session would be like all the developers who don't know anything about how the task-oriented messaging extension will work or how to create it. So they will definitely understand and learn how to create different types of messaging extensions in custom Microsoft Teams app. So there is no need like you just know about the theoretical part. And I would also like to thank Smita for sharing her thoughts on the introduction of Teams and what are the capabilities you can achieve using that. So that will definitely clear up something or prepare a base for all the developers that these are the features or functionalities we can create for Microsoft Teams using your Teams or Visual Studio. So that is there. And yeah, I will try to explain as much as I can in the next hour or so. So before I jump into that, I just want to briefly give you a better introduction to who I am. So most of the people knows that we are organizing such webinars, but for others who are not, who are joining first time for this event. So myself, Kirti Prajapati, and I am Microsoft MVP, MCT, and SharePoint architect, and working as an independent consultant. And I have been doing SharePoint since last 14 years, and I have worked on most of the SharePoint flavors, starting from WSS 3.0 to Microsoft 365. And by trade, I would also call myself a SharePoint consultant or developer because I would like to hands-on and everything the Microsoft has released so far. And I'm also evangelize my thoughts on my blog site. And along with that, I have been speaking in local and international community events and conferences because I'm very passionate to share my knowledge in all possible ways, whether it's a one-on-one meeting or a kind of local community together meetup kind of, and involved in writing some of the ebooks and providing some kind of trainings. And apart from this, I am also an organizer of Microsoft 365 Ahmedabad user group, under which this group's umbrella we are just organizing such events like M365 Global Bootcamp. We had this bootcamp couple of weeks, 2 weeks before 2 weeks. Then we are also organizing such global Power Platform bootcamps and SharePoint Saturdays. And apart from this, I'm an ambassador of AS community, so it is like a kind of huge responsibility to just build a strong local community for from where the community can get benefit for SharePoint, of Microsoft 365 and Azure. So this is all about me, and if you like to get a hold of me, then my contact details are over here on right hand side of the slide. So we can be in touch with on any social media platform, and I will be more than happy to connect with you, and we can share or exchange this knowledge over that platform. So today, now I'm moving to the agenda for the day. Before I move into that, so briefly giving you few points that nowadays you know that the usage and adoption of Microsoft Teams is increasing day by day, and most of the organizations are looking out for a kind of solution for Microsoft Teams which can extend the out of the box capabilities, and they have something productivity a kind of information or product by using that the employee can share or collaborate in a proper way. So like users can interact with your Microsoft Teams apps through buttons and forms in the Microsoft Teams client. So those are the options that they can connect with that. And messaging extensions enable user to execute search queries and uh, or kind of trigger the actions in external system, and the result of these actions are sent from your custom web services to Microsoft Teams client. That could be your embedded web page or richly formatted cards, whether it's a adaptive card or the design card as per your requirement. So in this session, I will explain how to create different types of messaging extension in custom Microsoft Teams. So today I'll talk about few the introduction which I just explained, and then I will move it to how the Microsoft Team exchanging extensions and action commands can be created, and how you can utilize that, and what are the different scenarios you can cover up, or you can have that for uh, your application or the users who are using that. So as a developer, what are the different types of messaging extensions available, that I also explain that. And along with this, I will also explain action command, which is one type of messaging extension. So you see that messaging extensions and action command. So it's a kind of messaging extensions, the action command is. So this is basically allows us to present users with a model pop-up, or this model pop-up could be a kind of, we can say it's a kind of task module in Microsoft Teams, which can collect or display information, then process their interactions and send information back to Teams. So it's a kind of uh, providing back and forth information or the search result on which user is looking out for. And then I will explain few things about search command message extensions. So uh, in this, I will explain like how to execute a messaging extension and search command from an existing message, which allows user to search external systems and insert the results of that search into a message in the form of card. So I will not go for the demo for this feature, but I'll explain you in a bit. And then I'll explain few things about the link unfurling messaging extensions. So uh, this will help you to how to implement this type of messaging extension, and what is the process of taking a hyperlink pasted into a message and performing some actions based on the result of processing the link. So once you paste that, and whatever the result you can get, you can redirect from your Microsoft Teams to another web page or in browser, and it will open your the link from there. So this process allows developers to perform a kind of search or display a card. So this is all about the points which I am going to talk about today. So let me start with messaging extensions and extend commands first. So as I mentioned that there are two parts involved when we talk about messaging extensions and extend commands. So first one is a web service you host on, and the second one is your Microsoft Teams app manifest file. So manifest file, as most of the developers know, that defines where your web service can be invoked from in the Microsoft Teams clients. So basically we need to register the web service as a bot in the bot framework, as they take an advantage of the bot framework's messaging schema and secure communication protocol. Or in another word, you can say that action-based messaging extensions allow users to trigger such actions in external services while inside of Teams, right? So from within the Teams, you can also execute this kind of triggers. So first thing is, what are messaging extensions? So messaging extensions is a cloud hosted service that basically listen to user requests and eventually it responds with structured data. So the data could be like typically in the form of a richly formatted card or something else as per your requirement, but most probably we are using the richly formatted cards. And then messaging extensions also allows users to interact with your web service through buttons and forms in the Microsoft Teams client. For example, if you have created one form or you have some buttons and want to interact with that, so messaging extension also allows us to utilize that too. And it also allows us to present users with a model pop-up, as I mentioned that you can open the task module in Teams to collect or display information. Then it will process their interactions and send information back to the teams. So apart from this, it also takes an advantage of the bot framework's messaging schema and secure communication protocol, which can help to connect with Microsoft Teams client app. So uh, for example, let me explain a different scenario where can we use it. So for example, the user needs to perform an action in an external system. Your external system could be anything, and have the results added to the conversation. So the user want to add this result sent into the conversation in Microsoft Teams. So in this case, when more than one the team members or the employees are chatting about a customer issue, for example, then it can be helpful if the customer's history or issue detail are added to the conversation timeline, because it is not necessary that all the team members who are involved in this conversation or chatting might know about the customer's issue on which they are going to discuss about. So it is better that if the customer's history or issue details are added to the conversation timeline from the data in an external system. So the customer's issues data will not be available in Microsoft Teams. So they have to fetch that data from their external system and pull it out into the Microsoft Teams as a kind of messaging extension, using messaging extension by creating the native card or something like that. And that external system could be kind of any issue tracking system or bug tracking system or CRM system or business central, from where you are just pulling out those data. So this is one example that you can set a kind of information available beforehand you start conversation with all the team members in that. And another example is when you need to complete a complex task or one that involves multiple steps and share the results. So what you can do in this case, so consider a scenario that user that wants to request an approval for a business trip. So this business trip, uh, if you're finding for the business trips, and this requires finding a flight, a good hotel, and the transportation options. So right. So after finding the required options, they might need to submit out of office and expense approval request to their manager. So messaging extension can be used to guide the user through a wizard experience. Using that, they can just collect such information, and then that could be used to start an approval process and display a summary in the conversation. Like if I want to go for a business trip, then I need to select the flight. So I can create a kind of button. By clicking on that, I will be redirected to some flight ticket booking website, and from there, once my ticket is booked, I can just display those information in my Microsoft Teams and kind of wizard. And once I have the final submitting for the approval, then I could have the summary available with me. So that would be easy for the manager to look into the that specific area only without moving outside from the Microsoft Teams. They can just have all the information available in Microsoft Teams. So these are the different scenarios that we can cover up using this messaging extension. And now another point is how messaging extensions would work. So as I mentioned that messaging extensions are registered in your custom Microsoft Teams apps manifest file, and that specifies where the extension can be invoked from in the Microsoft Teams clients. So uh, there are a number of locations from where you can have this messaging extensions functionality available, or you can invoke that from your Microsoft Teams client. So first one is the command box. This is the area at the top of the Microsoft Teams. So let me just open that Microsoft Teams and I'll explain you. Yeah. So for example, I have just created so from here you can get that command box. Uh, this is the area at the top of the Microsoft Teams client from where you can just, I have already created one. So you can just type in something and it will invoke your messaging extensions. And the second one is the area at the bottom of a one-to-one chat that is called compose message box. And from the bottom of the conversation tab, you can just have, I'm just starting here, and you can see these three ellipses. So from here I can also invoke that and just have my messaging extensions available to start the conversations. And another thing is messages more action menu. Let's say for example, as I mentioned, that you cannot, there is no need to go outside of your conversation. So once you looking out for a specific conversation, then you just have to click on that ellipsis. Then in more actions you can also invoke this your messaging extensions from here. So it will also eventually pull out that uh, form from where you can just type in something and click on it, and it will fetch all the relevant data, and you can add that information in the in Microsoft Teams as card. So these are the three options that you can use this messaging extensions. So there is no need to go outside of this Microsoft Teams to pull out the data or get some kind of result sets on for which you are looking out for. So that is there. And messaging extensions are implemented as web services registered as a bot using the bot framework. Uh, the purpose is like when a messaging extensions is invoked, Microsoft Teams will call your web service via the bot frameworks, messaging schema, and secure communication protocol. So I will show you that how we can create a kind of communication between your registered bot and the code which we are going to write on that. And the third point is action commands. So action commands will allow user, or you using that you can present your users with a model pop-up to collect or display such informations. When a user submit the form, your web service can respond by inserting a message direction into the conversation, or you can it can insert a message into the compose message. Those are the areas allowing the user to submit the message. So from there you can use these action commands. And then I will explain or create a kind of messaging extension. I just explain you that the planet thing. So I will cover up that later, but I briefly give you few points about this search command message extensions. So search command message extensions will allow user to search external systems for information. Uh, uh, the user can also use search box by manual process, or if you have something to paste it, you can paste a link to a compose message area and then insert the result of that search into a message in the form of a card. You can see in the right side of this screen, the slide, you can see the GetBooks app. So if you have something to type in, or you can just paste it and search for that, and it will pull out the data from wherever it is looking out for, either the external system or a kind of internal query for your SharePoint site or list, and then pull out the data, and user will be able to see the result set in form of a card. So in the most basic search command flow, the initial invoke message will include the search string, what has been added by the user or the user has submitted. So you will respond with a list of cards. It is not possible that it could give you a result for one card only, but you will respond with a list of cards and card previews as well. So the Microsoft Teams client will render the card previews in a list for the end user, from where they can select the specific result set, what they are looking out for. And when the user selects a card, the full size card will be inserted into the compose message area. So once it's a kind of preview, but once you click on that, it will add that card in a full size card into your compose message area. So this is how the search command message extension work. And you can see I have also mentioned the supported card type. So it also supports the adaptive card, hero card, then Office 365 connector card, receipt card, OAuth card, thumbnail, carousel, and list collection. It is not only supporting for a list card and signing card. So these are the card types. If you want to implement, then you just keep in mind that these are the options that can be supported for search command messaging extensions. And then I'll explain few things about link unfurling. So this is the process of taking a hyperlink which can be pasted into a message, and that will help us to perform some actions based on the result of processing the link. So I have created one kind of solution, but that is not 100% the usage of link unfurling. But yes, uh, uh, we can say that this will kind of, when you use link unfurling, you will have similar kind of interface. So interface or experience. So this process allows developers to perform a search, or you can have a kind of display card. So with the link unfurling, your app can register to receive an invoke activity, then URLs with a particular domain are pasted into the compose message area. And they will the invoke will also contain the full URL that was pasted into the compose message area, and then you can respond with a card from where the user can unfurl or provide additional information or some kind of other actions from where user can take an action and get the results. So this also works similar to a kind of search command with the URL serving as the search term. So overall, if I want to summarize everything, like how this task oriented messaging extension would work. So in a couple of lines, I can say that users can interact with your Microsoft Teams apps through buttons and forms in the Microsoft Teams client. So that's the one point. And the second point is messaging extensions enable users to execute search queries, or they can trigger actions in external systems. And the result of these actions are sent from your custom web services to Microsoft Teams clients as an embedded web pages or richly formatted cards. So you have more than one option how you want to represent the data which is coming from your external system. You can have that as embedded web page, or you can use that in a card. So this is all about a kind of basic concept and introduction how the messaging extensions and the different types of messaging extensions you can have, and you can achieve the different capabilities within that. So as I mentioned that we are going to create a kind of sample example how the messaging extensions works. So before that, as a developer, I just wanted to highlight few things that as a developer, there are few prerequisites which needs to be understand and implement in your development system. So you should have some kind of basic experience using Microsoft Teams, and you should have some ability to program with JavaScript, TypeScript, and understanding of Node.js, and also have some kind of experience using Visual Studio Code, because we are going to use Visual Studio Code editor to update the code and update the relevant files. And then you should have the Microsoft 365 tenant access, or if you don't have, you just have to create it, and from where you can access your Microsoft Teams client and deploy your solutions. And then you should have the Microsoft Azure subscription. This will help you to create the bot channel, and we will register with Microsoft Teams, so that you can also use. If you don't have, then you can create using free 1 month or $200 credit limit, and we can go from there. And this is the basic, like what are the softwares and what kind of license you are looking out for. But now these are the prerequisites that you need to install in your system. So Node.js could be version 10 or higher. Then you should have the version 1.6 or higher NuGet package manager. Then you can install Gulp version 4 or higher. Then Yumin version 3 or higher. Then Yumin generator for Microsoft Teams. So this is most important. Without this, you will not be able to create this Teams application. And of course, you should have the Visual Studio Code. Or if you have Visual Studio 2019, that will also work if you want to create such kind of applications like tabs, bots, and some other points which can be created using your team. So you can use Visual Studio as well. So these are the prerequisites that needs to be installed in your system. So this is all about that. And these are the free, these are three most important command which you should install after installing all this required Node.js, npm gulp, Yomin. Then you should use this command to install Yomin gulp global command, CLI, then TypeScript. So just use npm install yo gulp CLI TypeScript on a global mode. Then you can use the generator teams to install your Teams generator using npm install generator teams. And if you want to have kind of latest and greatest feature available for your generator teams, then you just need to add at the rate preview, and you can install that. So once you are done with this all the installation and complete these prerequisites, we are good to start the development for Microsoft Teams. Yeah, so now it's demo time. So I'll walk you through about how to create the messaging extensions. So before I jump into that, if anyone wants to have their uh, want to implement along with me, you are free to do that. I'm more than happy to assist you on that. And as Siddharth mentioned, that we have already created this Microsoft MSFT community tenant. So from there you can find all the materials which is related to the specific topic or the session we are talking about. So if you go to this Pune Microsoft 365 Day Bootcamp, and from here you can see part 2 messaging extensions. So once I click there, I will be able to see the files or the instructions which has been added as a file to follow for all the attendees. So if anyone want to follow the steps along with me, then they just need to open this document, or I'm keeping this document open in front of you, and we can follow the steps from here only. So it's a kind of a basic solution from where you can just have an idea that how you can use uh, Microsoft Azure for bot channel registration, and then you can use your teams command to create your solution, and in which file, what are the important files in project structure when it's scaffold, and in which file you have to update anything, right? So I will explain that. So in this demo, there are two parts. The first part is creating the bot channel registration, and the second one is create the solution using your teams. So first, you can see as I explained that there are the prerequisites. So you just need to install that, then execute these three commands. And once we are done, we are good to start with the development. So first step is register bot in Azure. So I'm just opening my Azure portal. In this picture, in this step, the Azure portal subscription comes into the picture. So it is mandatory point that you should have the Azure subscription. So I'm just opening my Azure portal, and I'm trying to create one a bot channel registration. So once you are logged in into your Azure portal, you just click on create a resource. And from here, you just need to search for bot channel registration, and then it will allow you to create a new bot channel registration. So click on create, and it will ask you a few questions, and then you have to fill up the form. So first is the bot name. So let me give that M365 Pune Bootcamp extension, right? And from subscription, you can select whatever the subscription you have. And resource group, if you want to create new resource group for this, you can click on create new, and if you have already a created resource group, then you just need to select from the drop down. So this resource group will be used to accommodate your bot channel registration. So all the information will be available in that resource group only. So I'm just using this teams development resource group which I already created, and you can select the location, the nearest location from your region. So but where your tenant is located. So I'm using East US, and this is most important that which pricing tier you are going to select. So for me, I think it is not coming because I'm using the Visual Studio Enterprise subscription. But if you select this, for example, then I might have some different options. I don't have any options, but you might have some F1 and S1. So go for the free version. So once you select that, your charges will be according to that. And messaging endpoint, as of now, I'm just keeping this blank. I do not want to give as of now, but if you want to give it, so you can give it like HTTPS, then your bot name, for example, dot azure websites dot net slash API slash messages. So this could be your a sample messaging endpoint, but for now I'm just keeping it blank, and we'll update that later on. And for the application insights, I do not want to use, so I'm just keeping it off. And if you want to create this app ID and password, you just create it from here. But I want to use the out of the box Microsoft App ID. So I'm just clicking on the create, and it will create my bot channel, bot under this resource group. And from there, I can have some bot channel registration with Microsoft Teams, and then we can access the Microsoft App ID. So it will take a couple of like a minute, and then from there we can get this done. So all the steps are deployment failed. So I have selected the wrong resource group. So let me go to the, again, I'm just creating the one bot channel, create 65 bootcamp message extension. Then Visual Studio subscription, then resource group teams development. So you can see here the pricing tier is that S1. So I'll select the F0, and then I do not want to give messaging endpoint. I'm just keeping off for the application insights and creating it. So this will create my bot channel registration, and once it is created, from their screen, we need to keep execute 2 points. The first is we need to copy this Microsoft App ID that will help us to use in the solution where we are going to create a solution using your teams, and then we will create a kind of uh, channel for Microsoft Teams. So I'm just going into the settings. From there, I'm just copying this Microsoft App ID and I'm just keeping into my notepad. And now I'm clicking on the channels and creating a feature channel with Microsoft Teams, because we are going to use this for Microsoft Teams, and you just select whatever applicable for you. So I'm just using commercial, save it, accept terms of services, agree, and your channel will be created. So these are the steps we need to follow for Azure portal for now. And one more thing I want to highlight here is settings. Yeah, I was talking about the messaging endpoint. So in the initial step, we kept it blank, so we don't have anything for now, but we will update later on, right? So we are done with the steps for this one, or let me create the application ID. So this is the application ID. We need to create the password for that. So click on the manage, and you need to create certificates and secrets. Click on new client certificate and just give it name. You can give any name and where you want to expire. So I'll just keeping in a year and then add it. So we will copy this value as well. So I'm just copying this and pasting into Notepad. So we are ready with the key and password which we need to use when we are scaffolding the solution or creating the solution. So now it's time for creating the solution for using this your teams command. So you need to open your directory in which you want to create these solutions. So for now, I am in my directory and I'm creating new folder called M365 Pune and executing this your teams command. So this command will ask you to enter some information related to your solution, and you have to follow the wizard to set up the solution. So first question is like, what is your solution name? So your solution name could be anything. So I'm just using M365 Pune messaging extension, for example. And you want to use the current folder or want to create new one. So I'll use this current folder because I am in the same directory. And Teams app project. So what would be the name of your apps project? So I'm just keeping 365 message extension kind of. And this is your company name. You can change it if you want. I'm just keeping that. And these are the version number if you want to change anything. As I mentioned that you could have the preview version as well, but I'll go with the version 1.6. And we will skip this because we do not want to use Microsoft Partner ID, as I don't have that too. And then these are the options which you are going to uh, create about. As Smita mentioned in the first session that you can create number of options using your teams. So these are the options available when you are using your teams command. So for now we are not going to create tabs, so I'm just using spacebar to unselect that, and moving to the message extension command and selecting it, and then uh, uh, press enter. And then this is the URL. So I was talking about this URL when I'm trying to use for the messaging endpoint in here, this one messaging endpoint. So this is the URL I was talking about, that you can add here as well, but for now we will not use that. So let it create out of the box, and in any ways we need to change it after scaffolding the project. So press enter, and would you like to have a kind of indicator? So for now I'm just go with the yes. Then it is asking to add test framework. So for now, no, there is no need to use test case framework for this application. I do not want to use Azure Application Insights. And if you want to host somewhere else, then you can use the second option, but I'm going for a new bot. So I'm just selecting in a new bot. I want to use this messaging extension. Then here we need to use the map, this application ID, Microsoft App ID, which we just copied from Azure portal. So I'm just copy it and pasting it. And we are going to use for this action-based messaging extensions. We are not going to create for search-based. So I'm just selecting the action-based messaging extension. And then these are the options that I explained, that what are the different options from where you want to invoke it, right? So I'm going to select all of them. We can invoke that from compose box, command box, and within the conversation message as well. So I'm just selecting all of them and clicking enter. And here it is asking like how you want to display or collect information from the user. So I'm going with adaptive card. This is my requirement, but if you want to change it, you can just have a different kind of options available. Then you can just select whatever you are looking out for. So for now we go with using an adaptive card. And then do you need configuration or authorization when collecting information? So for now I do not want to use that, so selecting no. And how you like to setting options for messaging extension? Yes, so I want to have that option. And what is the name of your messaging extensions command? So this will be available when it is rendering into the Microsoft Teams. So I'm just keeping the same one. So the name length, the character length is bigger than it is accepting. So let me have this only M365 Pune MSC. And this is the description. If you want to add, you can update that, or else we can go with the default one. And then it tries to scaffold your project, and uh, it will take a couple of minutes just to create some required files and folders for this solution. And once it is scaffolding all this necessary information, then we will use code command just to open the solution in Visual Studio Code. And from there I'll explain that what are the important files we may need to update a kind of code or some settings, or we might need to have update this secret ID and password which has been created for Microsoft Application ID. So I'm just opening this code space dot, and it will open my Visual Studio Code with the solutions. So the most important file from this project structure is environment.env. So if you can see the structure of this scaffolded solution, it is similar to the solution we are creating using SPFX client-side web part, right? But in SRC folder, we have different folders where we can write our code. So the most important file is environment file, where you can have this configured application ID and client secret from both channels registration we can add from here. So in this, I'm just using this value which has been created for this app ID. So I'm just using it and pasting it. So we are all good. And it also mentioned that what is the default port number where you can have the local debugging or the local server invoke. So that is there. And if you want to have some kind of other settings information needs to be added, then you can use this file. So for now we are good with this information. Now for creating the data or accessing the planet's data as backend, we need to create two more files. So as I mentioned that everything should be available in your app folder under the SRC. So here we need to create a kind of extra files, or if you want to use existing file, you can also use that. So for now, I'm just creating one file called new file called planets.json under this. And the question is from where I can get this JSON file. So for now, you can use your this Microsoft Teams instructions channel, and where I have copied all the points. So we are done with this one, and now we are here. So I'm just using the this code from here and copying it. It is nothing but just a kind of simple HTML kind of information which can be help you to find the description for the specific planets, and you can update the code as well. It's not copied completely. Copy it. So this information is also available in one of the Microsoft Teams solution. So I will share that after the demo. So from there you can also get all this information. So one, not able to copy in one go. Yeah, so we are good. So this is just a kind of information for all the planets. So Mercury, and what is the summary you want to add for Mercury? Then solar orbit years. So these are all the static information which has been added. And if you want to have kind of wiki links for finding more details for this planet, then you can use these wiki links. Then if you want to add image, then you can have the image, or if you want to use image alternate, then you can have that property as well. So this is the kind of common files, the card structure in which all the planets information will be available. So you can add as much as you can. So I have added mostly 8, sorry, 8. I have added 8, but if you want to append more, or if you want to change something from here, you can also use this JS file, and let's save it. So that's one option, one file we have created. Now the second file we need to create for this is the JSON file from where we can fetch the data when user is typing something and looking out for a specific data, right? Now another thing is we need to create the display card. So this is the backend file. Now the turn to create a card. So I'm just using another file, creating new file called planet display card.json, and this file contains the adaptive card which can help us to uh, generate the details of the planet, right? So this is also available in the same document from where you can just copy that. So I'm just copying it from here. Control C, and using that in here. So this is also a kind of adaptive card information where you can have the card header and the container, and what are the items you want to have it like planet name, text block, weight, and the medium. So this is a sample for this uh, adaptive card. If you want to change anything, you can change it as per your requirement. Now we need to implement the action messaging extensions with your teams. So here is the time to update the extension, the action messaging extensions to use this planet information we just created for these two files. So I'm just closing these two files and opening my src folder, app folder. Then I'm just opening this extension file and this ts file. So here we have different methods available. So you can see the first one is the on fetch. So we have to update this method because we are just trying to pull out the data from the JSON file which we have created and want to create a kind of a better user interface from where user can type in something and we have one command button from where user can click on that and we can get the result set on from the backend using this on submit action. So we will update these two methods. The first one is the on fetch task. So again I'm going to use this and I'm just copying this whole on fetch method. I'm just replacing with the existing one. So I'm just skipping this delete and using this one. So here you can see that I have used kind of a textual information. So title would be your input form. Then I want card factory as a data card, adaptive card, and this will be the information which can be rendered for user to input with please enter planet name. Then it will give a kind of example that these are the planets available so far. So you just need to type in something like Mercury, Venus, Earth, or something like that. And then we will go with this. This is the input form, right? Now, from where my method will be query the planet data in JSON format, and that information displays the planet information. So we need to use this on submit action command method, and we just need to copy that from this document again. So I'm just using this and I'm just deleting this and using this one. So this will eventually create a kind of adaptive card. Now here you are getting the error for find, right? So to resolve that, we need to import that file into the import section. So I'm just going to add one import section, import, then find from, yeah. So once we have this, so eventually this find error will go away. Okay. Now it is time to test the solution. So we are good with all the settings we have done so far. Now, uh, as I mentioned that we need a kind of uh, this messaging endpoint URL. So we are not going to use simple gulp serve command, but we will use this gulp and grok dash serve command. This gulp task will run many other tasks or which can be displayed within the command line console. And this will build your project and start a local web server. As I mentioned that in the environment file, we have the 3007 as a local host or a kind of local server ID. So this will eventually so there is an error. Okay, it's linting now. So it will eventually use that, and we will be able to have that information. So if you see carefully, when I execute this command, the package folder is created in backend, and I have this zip file created for me. So uh, I just need to copy few things from this screen. The first thing is this URL. I need to just copy that URL and paste it into .env file, or you can say Azure portal here endpoint. So I'm just using this control V /API /messages. Don't forget to use this or append this under /API /messages, and once you are done with that, just save it. And the same thing we need to copy into the environment file. So under environment file we have the host name. So copy this URL. Instead of this one, you just change it to this one. Now open your Microsoft Teams. So I have already opened that, and under the apps, I am assuming that you have already have this Teams side loading enabled. If you don't have that, then you will not be able to see this upload a custom app option. And from once you click on that, click on upload for me or my Teams, then select this package file which we have just created, open it, and it will ask you to add this in your solution. So I'm just clicking on add. Yeah, so this is loading indicator. So somehow I'm not able to get this because I'm getting an error in this console. So let me so these are the steps that once your app is available in your solution, then you can use that. But let me check what is the error. So I'm just using Control C. Maybe something wrong with the package file, as something has been changed. Maybe manifest version 1.7. I have not updated that, but let's see this time it will work or not. Okay, so this is related to the Webpack. So let me go to another solution which has been already created. So I'm just going to Teams. Then so once your app is available, then uh, as I mentioned, then you can have these three different options from where you can add that. So let me open Microsoft Teams from where I can explain. So we are just testing this. We have added this updated environment file, updated URL, then uploaded the package, then adding this. So once you are adding this file, then you will be able to have this screen. You can see the compose box of MS Teams kind of like this, and you can enter something, whatever the keyword you are looking out for example Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and click on OK, and then it will open up with adaptive card in your message box, the Teams message, and then you can send it to the user for start a discussion, right? So these are the steps that we can use. So I'll already created one, so I will explain that how you can do that. So I'm just using Saturn from here and enter. Maybe sim I've deleted the app. So this is the option that you can create it like once you add some keyword, then your card will be available here, and then you can just start a conversation from here as well. More actions, then and then it will again open the same interface from where you can just input something and have some result set, and that result set could be available in your conversation. So there is no need to go outside of your Microsoft Teams. And I was talking about the link. So when you have some link added in your uh, result set, then you just need to click on that and it will open your link in new window, right? So this is how it will work. but you can just follow these steps, it should work. Somehow I'm not able to find the webpack issue, so in the interest of time, I'm not just updating anything for now. So but yeah, you can try on your own, and you can just follow the steps what I have mentioned in the Teams instructions documentation, and that will eventually help you to get this done. So all the steps I have mentioned, like what you need to follow after adding the app, and then what are the different options you can create from more actions, then command messaging extension. So from there you can get just trigger the action and get your results from the external services within the Teams. So there is no need to go outside of your Microsoft Teams. Yeah, so this is all about the demo, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions, and if you want to have more things than task oriented. Yeah, so from this link also you can get this solution part. So there are a number of options available. You can go with the messaging extensions, then search command message extension, then link unfurling. So I've just explained this one part only, but you can have some hands-on. These are the simple one. There is nothing to kind of complex coding. You just need to add few things in your existing solution. That's it. So from here you can also get this all the information, and you will be able to complete this learning path as well. So why we are keeping this, because this is the agenda for this bootcamp, that after attending these 2 days, that you will be able to complete this extending this Microsoft Teams associate kind of solution for you can see from next sessions like conversational bot, then uh, tabs, then some task modules and webhooks. So a kind of we plan it like this, so the all the attendees can complete this learning path. Yeah, so this is all about this, and let me know if you have any questions. I will be more than happy to answer all of you.